G'day guys, it's Clint here with Ask Irvo, or Matt Irving, for those of you who are related to him. We've just recorded, what you're about to see is a video with Darik from Hunter US, who is the product manager for the Hunter BT, or the Node BT. If you're looking for a video about how to program these controllers, this is not the video that you want to watch, and there will be other videos available in time. This is more of a deep dive into the features of the controller and I guess a bit of an unboxing, but with the presence of the product manager, so we were able to talk about each piece and why it exists and what it's for. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention. If you've got any questions or comments, please chuck them in the comments below. Darik and us watch that, and it helps them develop, I guess, new features in products, and it also gives us the ability to understand what content you're enjoying and what we should be doing more of. Thank you very much. So thanks for taking the time to spend another bit of time with us today. I don't intend to take more than an hour. I've got a meeting at 10 anyway, so I thought we'll get straight into it, obviously, so we can make the most of the time and produce something good for the viewers. Matt and I had previously done an unboxing of the Node BT, and we had done with the X2, but I thought it would be really beneficial for people that follow the YouTube channel to have another video of us pulling this apart and playing with it with you present, and then you can highlight some of the features that are in this that aren't in the normal Node, and the reasons why you might have gone without a screen. Like, you know, that was one of our little kind of I don't even know what the word would be, but like our issues or our concerns. We're like, oh, it needs a screen. So I'll take it apart now. So obviously it's in a nice colourful box, which is something that Hunter have rolled out with all their new range, as compared to the black and white box that, say, the XC was in.
Yeah. The old whites,
yeah. So it looks nice.
Yeah, they did black and white to blue and white, and now we're doing full color.
Yeah. So the blue being, that's kind of, you're trying to use that as your corporate color for this stuff?
Yeah. The blue is the brand standard color is the white and the blue.
Yep.
But the full color packaging really makes, anything when you have app base makes it pop. You can't do that on a 2-color print.
Yep.
Gotta be full color.
That makes sense.
All right. So in the box we have instructions, the user guide, and then obviously the product. So this valve's the standard PGV valve, which has been operational and successful in the Hunter stables for decades, I'm thinking.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, PGV 1-inch, and you have the BSP. So yeah, you have the Node BT 100 valve B.
Yep.
And that comes with the 1-inch PGV and the solenoid already attached, single station. And then with every Node box, you have the tray and the adapter for mounting. So the trays, that's the adapter, and that's the tray.
That tray gives us that ability.
Exactly, yeah. So whether you're replacing a node that's not Bluetooth, one of the old nodes, or maybe it's an SBC, or
wow, that's
DC.
Blast from the past, the SBC.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I know. As long as you use the Hunter solenoid, you can put the tray on that solenoid and make a nice clean mount for the controller.
So these solenoids
they
haven't changed in size for 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah, it's been the same, just a little bit different mold, but it's the same.
Yep. Sorry.
And then with the adapter, you can mount that vertically. So see that pipe behind you on the shelf?
Yep.
You can mount that with with 2 screws.
You can screw it to that,
or you can use or a band clamp goes inside.
Oh, so this hole here.
That slot. You can put a band clamp around that and place it on the pole if it's
Is that in shot?
So, yeah. You got it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So that's for, it's not a typical installation. Mainly these nodes are in a valve box.
Yep.
But it's something greenhouse, above ground, something like that, above grade.
Yep. So it'll be like that, and it gives it a slight angle. So I'm guessing it helps you see the screen, and it
slight
holds it
angle.
in.
One hand.
Yep.
You got one hand. You can take it out.
Yep.
Use the other hand for the out.
Yep.
Which it's good for us to sort of explain to people when we're doing this product. We sort of say, if instead of a tap timer, what's your best option? And we say, look, put the Node BT on your tap, whilst it's a little bit more of a bulkier product because you've got a coil hanging off of it. This kind of keeps it a little bit neater as well. So we've sort of done that, and then obviously to UV stabilize the cable, we've sort of put some flexi conduit over that just to sort of tidy it all up as well. Just makes it nice and neat for the customers as well.
Is there any UV stability around this plastic, or?
Yeah, that should be ASA. Same thing for our controller, so it won't controller doors rather, so it won't crack.
Yeah.
Or fit. It won't turn green.
That's a good point that Matt brings up about the hanging these from a garden tap. We've had, and this might not be, I'm hoping it's inside your circle of knowledge, these valves are okay to be installed that way?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, preferred that they're installed that way?
Yeah, I think if it's vertical, I got to double check on that, but at a little tilt, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Yeah, so you'd want almost one of those taps with the angled mouth.
Yeah, so the US faucet comes out kind of, you guys have a lot of faucets that are like 45 away, whereas Australia is very vertical.
Yeah. Straight down.
Yeah.
I think as long as the flow, the direction of the water is correct, because you have the arrow, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And then you can use that adapter to mount it higher on the valve, or maybe drill into the side of the wall.
Yep.
In the US, do you supply these with a solvent weld rather than a thread? Is that a popular thing? Obviously, in South Australia, we don't have slip solenoid valves. It's just not something people use. It's all BSP.
Yeah,
is that something?
They're all threaded. Yeah, the US version where it's Node BT 100. No, it's the MPT version, but they're just threaded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No slip.
So for anyone watching this video, obviously, we've got an audience in the US and an audience in, I guess, other parts of the world. After I spoke to you last, I had a look. Our US, for the last 30 days, our US viewership is like 80 to 10 against Australia. So this video is they're being watched more in America than they are in Australia. So NPT being the standard thread for the US and BSP being the standard thread for Australia, just for people that are watching. So this has a rubber cover, same as the last one did.
Yep, just change the color so you can identify that it's blue for Bluetooth with the little Bluetooth symbol on there. And then some of the, they call them like scallops are different.
Yeah, that's just for people watching. Oh, it's up there as well. Sorry, got cameras everywhere.
We almost, actually, it's funny, we almost went with an orange color.
Yeah.
Make it more stand out, but it didn't make it past the brand team. It's got to be blue.
Netafim are kind of holding on to orange as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think it's like Toro have got red, Rainbird have got green, you've got blue, Netafim's got orange. It's just not.
Just calm down.
Yeah. Blue's for water, right?
Exactly. Water savings.
Now, this cover isn't necessary to protect this from a water protection. It's just a nice thing to keep it.
Just to help it keep it clean from the dirt. If it's in a valve box, they get dirty, things like that. If you don't want your hands dirty, keep the cover on.
Yep. And then, so we take that off, and then actually, let's talk about the product before we talk about the programming. So the first thing I noticed is this is thicker than the original Hunter Node.
Yeah, a half-inch taller.
Yep. Can you tell us why?
Or a half, what is that, a couple centimeters?
Half inch is what, 12 to 15 mil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Why?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, so we were using 2 PCB boards in there, and we actually moved we actually changed the style of battery, so they drop in like a flashlight now. So that's a great benefit for the installers. One of the complaints that we had with Node, and Node's had an amazing warranty, low warranty percentage, but the battery snaps would break off. And so when they go to replace them after a year, 2 years, it's been in the ground, well, then now they need to replace the controller, leave the site, come to you guys, get their new controller, go back to the field. So we took that all away and just had those flashlights drop in like I said, on flashlight on the leaf springs. And that's something we learned with the WFS, the wireless flow sensor. Same kind of thing, that whole battery cartridge drops in, and then also allowed us to change the sealing. And so there was some false reports of, water intrusion. We never had an issue, but we thought, hey, we can make this easier and reinforce, the water intrusion up to, I guess it's like 3 meters.
Yep.
Okay.
And we added 2 double O-ring seal, and so one is fine. We added 2, and then you have the cap. So it's like a mason jar style. So it's a cap and ring seal. You can hear the air.
Yeah, that I heard that, and that's actually like that's supporting itself. Like I'm not actually holding the back. So that's really.
Yeah.
You're right.
I hope they don't think they can install it that way to save time. But
that was I was blown away at how much that sealed. You hear the air leave, and then obviously this then seals that down.
Yep, and that's the ring that tightens it all the way down.
Yeah, and that doesn't really have a point. Like I guess for people that are watching, you just know when it's done. You don't have to keep. Yeah. It's not like it just stops.
You don't have to don't have to over tighten it. It lines up, so those grooves should line up with the other one.
Okay.
With the top ones there, but you don't need to hear it click or anything like that.
Cool.
So that's why it's just a little bit taller, and great advantage for the batteries there.
Which for us, I guess our immediate reaction was like, oh, it's taller.
Well, my initial reaction on that
initial unboxing,
I guess my initial reaction on the unboxing was more
the concern.
I didn't mind any of that. It was more just a case of having been a contractor myself. It was that this gets dropped in the valve box. You've got dirt. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I guess if you were to then compare to the original node, there's nothing stopping you from dropping the back of that as well and getting dirt on it. So it was in the same sort of boat.
Well, I think there's only so much you can do as a product developer to protect contractors from themselves. Like there has to be an element of burden on them to just do it right and maybe have a cloth down.
A little bit of diaphragm changes and stuff. You still got to be clean about it. So yeah.
I did drop. I put one in a couple weeks ago, and I dropped the cap piece, not the ring, and so I was like, oh, yeah, you drop it in there. You hope it's not 12 feet or something 60 meters down there.
It's like when you drop a piece of toast or buttered bread. It always lands that side down.
And then you just blow it off. Count
and then eat it.
Blow the dirt off, and then use it. Yeah.
Is that there's like
I want to point out the batteries. We're using 2 9-volt alkaline batteries, and that it extends you throughout a season.
Yep.
And so it's the exact same for the original node, and not a lot of competitors out there can give you slots for 2. They usually come with AA batteries or just 1 9-volt battery.
Will it work with 1?
It'll work with 1. Doesn't matter what slot it is.
Yep.
But we just give you 2, so you got peace of mind and say, hey, I'll get to that customer when I can.
So you're saying 1 would still give you a 12-month period?
It should last a full season, but it's depending on how many times you're accessing that Bluetooth radio and how many times it's cycling.
Yeah.
But 2 is guaranteed for a full season.
Okay.
Yeah. So 1 being if you only had it operating once a week, on and off, or twice a week, and you didn't go back and connect to the Bluetooth. I mean, that's what we found with the nodes that we've had. 1 battery is kind of a season.
You did mention just then, obviously, 2 9-volt alkalines. Now, obviously, we're running alkalines in these. This is something that's come up in other tap timers discussions as well with us. Alkaline is the battery type of choice over a lithium style battery. It's an alkaline being a low draw. Is that right? Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's just the way what the board requirements are, and just the whole electrical requirements, and we figure those will last longer. I mean, lithium can last longer for different devices, but the way our board specs are, it's only going to be alkaline.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can get away with it, maybe temporarily.
Yeah.
But rechargeable batteries, other things like that, nuclear is not going to work. So,
yeah.
So stick with alkaline. Yeah.
Because because it's low. Yeah, it's kind of like a...
Well, we've had people say, I've gone away from alkaline and I've put lithiums in there and spent the money because it's a Bluetooth product now, so it's going to be higher drain. And I'm like, it's still low draw. It's just the idea is that the alkaline allows you to access that. It's not like a camera where it's using large power all at once. Yeah. It's using small amounts over a long period of time, so you still want to run alkaline.
Yeah, that is true, yeah. That is true.
It's just a common thing that happens... What we see in our shop, that it might be a thing across the world that's something that people aren't too sure of. That's all. So
the draw on that is going to be significantly low because you're not transmitting exactly that much data between your phone and that controller.
Cool.
Good point.
So the next thing that we see is the amount of cables that are coming out of the side of this. There's a lot of cable coming out for a single solenoid valve. I'll get Michael to cut in what the other ones look like. The 4 and is it 6? 1, 2, 4, 6.
Yeah, no 6 on this
No
one.
6,
Yeah,
1, 2,
6
4.
wasn't that popular.
No,
So
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 4 would just have more cables, and we'll cut a shot in so that people understand what we mean. So what's the yellow cable for?
Yeah, so your yellow cable is it's a loop. It's for your wired sensor. We call it a wired click sensor. So whether you're using the Hunter mini click, the rain sensor, or the Hunter rain click, the other rain sensor, or maybe a freeze click, wing click, you can slice that in to the node, and that will obey the sensor if there's weather changes. Send alarm to the controllers. So it's perfect. If your site requires rain shut off, you got an option for that. So that's the first sensor.
So if we don't touch that, nothing. You just leave it. Yep, and nothing. You don't have to program anything. You just leave it. But if you cut it,
you cut it, and then if you're in the app and if it's enabled, and there's any kind of loop or water gets into it, something like that, it could short. The water could go back into the wire and hit the board. But you just want to cap it off and make sure it's off and the sensor's off in the app.
So you were about to say there's another cord here. I might open this up actually. So the grey one, is that a sensor?
Yeah, the grey one.
Is that a sensor?
So that is the new feature for nodes. So now you have 2 sensors, and that gray wire there is for soil. So that's for your soil moisture sensor.
Is there a reason that one's got a plastic over it and it's already been cut and that one hasn't? Is that just how it is?
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, the way that works is, if you're going to, they respond differently.
Yep.
And
so that's normally open, normally closed kind of thing.
No, they both would be like normally closed, but I feel like if it was cut and actually water touched that, well then it's gonna change the schedule in the controller. Yeah. So I mean, if that one's intended for, hey, if you're gonna install it here, just clip the clear tube off and then take the 2 opposing wires on the SC probe and attach that to it. And so that's just how that works. And so we don't include the SC probe, but that is just the sensor replacement that you normally find with our soil click.
And there's no polarity with these. Obviously, they're the same color, so whichever way you wire the sensors.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Whereas, which takes me, I guess, to the next thing. These cables that are running from the solenoid to the node are different colors. That's important.
One's your common and one's your station wire.
Yep.
So you're red. So you're hot and you're common. And so the black's your common, the red is your station.
So on the 4 station and the 2 station, there's obviously still only one black common, but then there's more red. So if someone had an issue with the solenoid coil, it would be fine for them to cut that off and replace the coil and then wire it up using waterproof wire connectors, but it's just important for them to remember that red goes to red and black goes to black.
Exactly. And they can use, if they're doing a retrofit, which happens a lot, there's not all 100 valves out there on projects, so you can use a competitor. Just make sure it's 9 to 11 volts DC, and it should work.
Yep. We found with most of the products in South Australia that are 9 volt work with the nodes.
Correct. The node's probably the most compatible as far as running competitor coils, whereas we've seen other issues with competitor coils trying to run
a competitor controller trying to run a Hunter DC coil.
Yeah, whereas the node's always been strong as far as being able to operate everything. So
So that's the body of it. Obviously, we did talk about there not being a screen. Matt and I, when we first looked at it, were concerned that if there was a council or a municipality or a university that had a lot of these and they had staff looking at them, that they'd have to run that phone for all of the devices rather than having someone come out and be able to make a change. Now, last time we spoke, you said you can still manually operate these without the Bluetooth?
Yeah, so one of our advantages in the marketplace that set our controls apart, it's not just like it's not just like an empty box, like a black box. Yep. You have buttons for manual on and manual off. Like if you're testing, and so you just hold that play button and it will run that station. If you had 4 stations, it would run all of them. And so the default is 30 minutes. And you'll see that if you have a battery in there.
Yep, so that's that the play button.
Yeah, you hold down the play button, and that LED that says 1 under it, it'll flash and it'll be running station 1.
How long do you hold it down for?
Give it about 2-3 seconds until you hear the click. If you heard the click already, it's probably already running.
Well, when I put that was it then, wasn't it? When I put the batteries in, it clicked. So
yeah.
What?
Okay, it clicks to it's checking each station once it does that.
Okay, so it's only one station. So if this was a 2-station, it would click twice, 4 stations.
It would go. Yeah, run through all of them, and you hit the stop button, and you'll see a red LED to indicate the station. You hit that stop button again, and nothing happens. That means that station's off.
I'll just take the batteries out again. Do you want to hook up? Have you got the Bluetooth? Have you got the app on your phone?
I'll download it quickly.
We'll just quickly download the app and connect it and have a look at that side of things. So what separates this, aside from it being Bluetooth, what separates this from the Hunter Node? Is there any other changes that you have made?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's a whole new firmware. We've went through our checklists of comments and feedback over the years for Node, and really try to improve on everything. So start times, monthly seasonal adjustment, scheduling, and there's a whole host of contractor features which we'll get into once we see the app. But yeah, everything's changed. We still have I'll bet the screen and solar, and actually the ability to add a solar panel and the 6th station. We have everything, and we improved on that. So no solar panel connectivity for this Node BT. We'll leave that door open in the future if there's a big demand for it. But right now, most customers are moving to the XC hybrid.
The solar panel thing. I mean, I remember. I don't think I've ever sold one. I don't think I've ever seen one. Obviously, it didn't make a lot of sense to me having a solar panel on top of a valve box.
Yeah.
And then it just gets covered in mulch, debris, rubbish, bird poo, whatever it is, for what it costs. Labour and a battery to go replace the battery. So Matt's just downloading the app. I can't get this play to click. Just like so as well, I'm a perfect person to test products because I generally break them. So
yeah.
If I can't get this to work, it's me. It's not you, it's me.
I think I see it. Do you hear the click?
It didn't click. I'm just trying to get it to.
I wonder if you've connected that before. I wonder.
I think we have connected it before.
Okay.
This is the one that was the one we did the unboxing with. So it was up in Michael's office. So maybe like we did with the X2, maybe we've just broken it. But we'll get Matt to connect it to his phone.
Look at that. The last button I want to call out is the middle button. Is the battery check. So if you press that button.
Yep.
Now you see it blink 4 times.
Yep.
So it also blinked green too. And so green means good, red means, hey, I need replacement.
Yep.
But the blinking 4 times means that it's in a full range. You'll see that there's 4 blocks on that battery. And that indicates it's between 80 and 100%.
Yep.
If it blinked 3 times, it's between 60 and 80. Blink twice, it's between 25 and 50, 60.
So the first light that shines when you press it is the first. That's because the first one pauses for a bit and then it goes 1, 2, 3. So it's 1 and then 1, 2, 3. That's 4.
Yeah. Should blink 4 times in total. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So we've got the app open.
Yep.
Now,
So have we connected to this before?
No, I'm just going to do scan just in case it's another one, but I think it's got.
What do we do with? We don't have to do anything. Yeah.
So we obviously just another thing. I thought you've got a laser etched serial number on the side of that now. Obviously that now matches up with the available Node BT that's on here. Just a case of clicking connect.
So you don't have to do anything with the device.
Connect. See the LEDs, they start blinking. So see station 1 and the battery checks start blinking.
Yep.
If you want to do that again, you can disconnect and redo it since you have it at the angle of the camera. If you wish, just disconnect and reconnect.
Okay.
But the serial number is just a helpful identifier if you have multiple nodes. And this is also, if you have multiple nodes on a desk, you can see which one you're talking to.
Yep.
So it does a little LED dance, as
Yep.
we call it.
Yep. Now it says enter current passcode.
Oh, you already have passcode on there.
Is that password 1?
So is that we've obviously used this before? Is that how?
Yes, yeah. So there's no passcode. They're open pair, and so you either have to remember the passcode, or I can walk you through the reset. We can reset it if you
It
wish.
should be your password, wouldn't it?
I don't remember
The
what
one
we
that
did
starts
on
with
the
1. Your password.
Well,
Oh, it's a 4-digit code. So either
There's only just
quadruple
one of 3
ones or 1,
passwords.
2, 3, 4.
And then the other one,
I know what it was.
That's one of the features we have.
it's 6969. How mature are we?
okay, so now it's come out with a firmware update required, so we can update
You
that.
got it? Okay. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, so we're continually doing upgrades and
Yep.
improvements, and so you can skip that for now, but as long as you have internet access, reconnect, and you can download the latest firmware.
So that downloads the firmware to the node. So that's not an that's not
Downloads
the
to
app.
the
That's the
node.
firmware for the node, and then the app obviously has its own unique update. If there's
Yeah,
an
it
app
has
update.
its own update through the App Store, yeah.
I didn't skip it.
He did it anyway. He didn't listen to you.
Well, hey, this is
I like literally
same as last
classic.
week, right?
It's like, and we were very clear. We only had an hour of time, and you went and ruined it.
He's like, you should skip that now, and I was like, update.
He, if you, I don't know if you can see it from there, but he's got really fat fingers, so it would have been an
I
accident.
hit everything. I'm also known as sausage fingers.
Hit cancel and okay at the same time.
Yeah.
Have you seen the episode of The Simpsons
Sausage fingers.
where they ask Homer to press one key at a time?
I gotta call the plant and warn them.
The fingers you have used to dial are too fat. To obtain a special dialing wand, please mash the keypad with your palm now.
I gotta watch that after this.
Where they mash? Oh god, we're gonna find
It
that.
should
footage.
take
Yeah.
it should take about 5 minutes. It's really dependent on how old your firmware is. Was it 75?
It's nearly done.
78
Yeah.
up to 81
78.
now. So I'm
81,
at
okay,
100% now. So
So these have a date code on them, like the X. Oh, they do on the box.
Yeah, they do. It's the same way. The date code's always on the box near the barcode on one side. And so is that February 20?
March.
March, okay, March 20. And then it on the battery compartment, right where the batteries are,
Yep.
if you unscrew it.
I don't want to
It'll
take it
say-
apart at the moment, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you connect, yeah. It'll say same
Okay.
place as the original node.
So that light just went
Yeah.
red, and then the node turned off
it says device rebooting.
because I heard it click.
So did it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the solenoid check.
Yep.
Just run through its checks, and
Now it's reconnecting to device. Now, from an update point of view, obviously, if we were out on it, this has already been installed, and a contractor comes back to this 6 months later, and there's now updates available. Is that a case of still asking whether you want to do that? If someone was then to try and connect into it, they can still skip that and maintain old firmware and just keep it as it is.
They can
Yeah.
skip it. It is recommended to do the updates
Yep.
because there's always enhancements and improvements.
Yeah.
But they can skip it, and you can always come back to it later by just disconnecting and reconnecting to it.
Okay.
So that's all done.
Cool. So success
That
control
was
was
really,
updated.
really super fast. Exactly what we've come to expect from Hunter. This is
This
not
time
a
I
paid
can't
advertisement.
control it. That's why I can't try to push updates.
So it's got a nice, pretty grass on the back screen. Looks like a ryegrass.
Yeah, so that's for station 1. If you had 4 stations, it'd be a quad grid style.
Yep.
And so yeah, you can change. You can replace that image
Okay.
and rename your zone, rename your controller.
Yep. So you can take photos of obviously front lawns, garden beds, that sort of thing. So it's clear of what
So I
actually
can-
Station
yeah.
1 is doing. So
Identify which zone. Yeah, it is.
okay.
So take a look at the dashboard. So I just want to highlight that. That is where we took our feedback from Centralis, one of our other commercial softwares, and put it into the node because it gives the contractor a bird's eye view, a glance of what's happening,
Yep.
while he's 15 meters away from that valve box.
Yep.
And so he sees the controller status. It's probably showing auto right now. He can see the next start time. He can see the total watering time for all programs or by program if you slide. and he has the picture of the zone, and then he has the ability to press the run button and run it manually, all the programs, or he could test all stations if he had more than one station.
So the battery symbol on the screen is the batteries in the product?
Yes, that's the battery in the product, and you also see the signal.
So it's 80. The other percentage. The battery's 80%. Is that a 3-flash battery or a 4-flash battery? 80%. Do you remember?
That would still be in the range of a full battery.
Yeah. I turned this on while you were talking to Matt, and it manually turned on, and Matt had the screen open, and it started counting down the 30 minutes.
It syncs. Yeah, it syncs both ways.
And then he turned it off from the app.
You can turn it on. Yeah, it's two-way communication. So if you press manual run on the controller, it'll show up on there. If you press stop, it'll stop at the controller.
Okay.
All right, cool.
So we got the mailman or telephone going back and forth. Rapidly.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. Okay, so that's all. Is it running?
No.
Okay, cool. So that's all connected now. What you went through a lot of things then when you were talking. What features I guess stand out in the app that weren't available in the standalone controller that might be appealing to a contractor or a homeowner that's, I guess, deep in their craft?
So a couple of them. So you can locate this controller, especially when you're not going to visit the site, a year from now, 2 years from now. If you go on the Connect screen, you can hit the map up in should be the left-hand corner.
There's a bell.
Right-hand corner.
Oh, he's got to record. Yeah, sorry, we're screen recording it, so yeah.
Yeah, so you have the map there, and you'll see a map populate.
Wow.
And then hit the maybe it says you're in Rome, but hit the location little arrow.
Yep.
And it should point you at your location.
Yeah.
Wow. Perfect.
So that's using Aussie phone, yeah.
Yeah, you can drop a pin. You got to do that in controller settings, but you can drop a pin just to give you a relative idea where that valve box is installed once you leave the site.
Yep.
So that's one of the features, kind of like your Find My Controller.
Yep.
Or and then the other feature is you go to the dashboard screen, you can hit the paper with the magnifying glass up in the right-hand corner, and that shows you logs. And so that's going to take a few seconds to generate all the logs. But say you had a history on this controller it's been running for a year, you can pull back up to maybe 100 plus events and recall that, hey, this controller is operating as intended. My sensors are obeying, the weather conditions, and my controller's not watering, things like that. You can then send all those logs. You see the share icon. You can send it to, maybe a crew member via text, message, mail, anything like that, or even print them.
So that's handy if a contractor maybe has had a client that's complaining about their garden dying.
Exactly.
And you made a mistake, you set my controller wrong, or it's not working, or whatever, and you can say, well, actually the logs are here, and the ball valve's being turned off, so it looks like you've turned the water off. It wasn't us. That kind of that's
exactly. That's one of the great scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that say we've installed a node in someone's yard and they're saying that there's water running down their driveway.
So Matt's just sent that to me.
It's too wet. So
Matt's just sent that to me, and it comes through just as a text with the date, the time, and the activity. And
yes,
like you said, probably 100 plus. And obviously that's not. This is not a controller that's really been used. It's interesting. The first logs are from the 1st of the 1st, 2019, and it's called Factory Reset via UI. And there's a few factory resets, and then there's a click sensor disabled. So it looks like there's a fair bit of activity in the factory. Battery check button pressed. So are these all tested at the factory? Is every one of them tested, or is that?
Yeah, everyone goes through a tester and tested, and the logs typically do erase.
Yep.
But at a factory set,
where is it there?
I think, they might still be there.
Yeah.
And you're sure you didn't test that before? Oh, I guess no, you probably didn't do that on New Year's Day. Yeah.
At 12 a.m.
This was we sort of connected this, I think, in probably March.
So our first connection on this was the 27th of February 2020 at 2:49 p.m. So there was a fair few logs. So there was a firmware reset internal to PIC on the first. That was the last action from Hunter.
That probably was at our factory. See, now you're blaming us for for touching your controller. See, that's where those logs come in handy.
I'm sure it was Hunter that did it.
Yeah.
So then we played with it on the 3rd of the 3rd. Oh, the Bluetooth was disconnected. Yeah, so it shows that his Bluetooth was disconnected. So obviously you deleted the app and then it lost the connection. Yeah. So that was
sometimes there might be a weird date in there, and so just on the when it resets, sometimes it might throw off the date because it doesn't know the date.
Well, it looked. I mean, that's why I believe that 1st of the 1st, 2019. I'm assuming that's the furthest date back that Hunter have it programmed into its firmware. Because why would you need anything earlier than 2019? Obviously, some of these were probably available in 2019. So you go back to the first of that.
They were built in November.
There you go. So that makes sense. Yeah. So that's its like default reset to 2019. Cool. All right. So
I see you've got an option there, the bin, so you can obviously delete logs to clear out and sort of start fresh as well.
Yeah, you can clean the evidence off and start fresh.
Yeah. All right. Any other features from standout like scheduling
side,
as well?
Not on the dashboard. Let's go to schedule.
Yep.
On the schedule side, so you have a nice glance of what's happening, kind of same thing. What's my summary of my schedule?
Yep.
With the screen that you had on the node, you had to hit that right button just to go through all your settings, and then you have to have that photographic memory to be like, what did I just see before? Because you don't have a whole list. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we chucked the screen too. And it's almost everybody has a smartphone. I know not every contractor or installer has one, but we hope to be the first to move people to that direction where smartphones are cheap. They can get one for their whole crew, just with our app.
Yeah.
So on the schedule side, you got 3 programs, and you can name those. Not just program A, you can do a summer, winter, fall kind of thing. And you have 8 start times. So we doubled the amount of start times that we had on Node from 4. Now you have 8 on the Node BT. And then the run times go from 1 second to 12 hours. And with the seasonal adjustment, 1 second. So it might be about 3-4 seconds. You can test that with the manual button there. It should be pretty quick. That's with fresh batteries. However, that will drain over time.
I guess there's for use in the US, maybe more than in Australia. You've got frost prevention or freezing prevention. Is that something that you would use 1 to 5 seconds for, just to clear some water out through the pipes, or?
You can do it that way, or germinating seeds. Yep. That's probably the more popular way. If you got some brand new seeds you need to hit with a kind of like a misting cycle.
Yep.
You can program that 30 seconds
Yep.
and have that repeat if you wish.
Yep. And up to 8 start times on that 30 seconds.
Up to 8 start times, and then you have cycle and soak by station as well.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can break up those run times.
Per station.
So that's included. Yeah, by station. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You have monthly seasonal adjustment. So if you hit that seasonal adjust, you have the option for global, which we've had on the node, but on the monthly, you should see it now says 0 to 300 or 200% or 300%.
So you just slide that up and down. This is very, I guess it looks like a volume bar for a millennial. Like you just drag your...
Yeah. The sliders are pretty UI standard for the... for the latest apps, and so 0 to 300 in 10% increments.
Yeah.
So now for your cold or dry or wet months, you don't have to water. It means you can keep your schedule at the same time. It just won't water at that in the same runtime. And
without having to go back, especially if this is in a public space or it's in a roundabout on a public road. That you could do that from the Bluetooth, but why not set it up knowing what you're going to know?
Something I probably want to provide, I guess, the South Australian market as well is that curve.
To give them a recommended curve.
Yeah, so one thing I used to do was provide them that seasonal curve,
averaging,
and then they could put that into their system. So if it was a case of set and forget and they're not coming out and manually dealing with it, the next month comes and it's already automated that reduction in the season. And so if it's not, then it's not turning on every 3 days in the middle of winter and that sort of stuff as well. It's an automatic water saving that I've found was about 30%. So.
This is something. This is where my brain goes with stuff like this. Is there a pre-saved program that you can push to all nodes? Say you had 100 nodes in field and you wanted to pre-save the seasonal adjustment and just push it out to each node. Is that a thing?
No, that's it's you kind of get into what we had with the WVP,
Yep.
where you can extract that schedule, and I think you're able to save it and then shoot it to your controllers.
Yep.
We're getting there. Don't have that, but obviously that'd be a tremendous time savings if we had that feature.
Well, if you're trying to continually build a moat around, I guess, the Hunter Castle and protect your competitors from crashing your castle, for lack of a better metaphor, doing stuff like that is appealing, especially for people that are paying their staff per hour, or if a council, you think about if a council has a right now COVID-19 shutdown, the guys all have to go home. They can go out and just upload those programs as quickly as they can and go home. Or if there's an event and they need to shut everything down quickly, it's almost like a central control, or like a hybrid central control for a battery operated valve. So,
but it also stops, I guess,
mistakes.
Room for error. Yeah, you get it right once, you can just push that out, and it will then make fine tune adjustments for each one from there. So,
it's like master remote.
Yeah. Screenshots. Look at you.
I'll keep recording that song. So, okay. So obviously, one thing we noticed on the schedule side of things, and just on the schedule, you've got rain sensor enabled and soil sensor disabled.
Yeah. So that's just a quick summary of what you have programmed for your sensor.
Yep.
So how you get there? Yeah, you go to more.
But this is technically enabled, isn't it? Because it's closed.
Yes, but it's turned off in the app.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So if you hit more and go to controller settings, the rain sensor is off. But if you turn that on, it'll show enabled on the schedule.
So ours is on.
Yep.
Is it on?
Yeah. So it was showing enabled.
Schedule, it'll say enabled. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we haven't got a rain sensor connected, just disable it in the app.
Just disable it. Yeah.
And
then it won't obey anything, but just to keep them off.
And what's the system tab do that at the top?
So the system. So a lot of times, they want to turn off the controller for 99 days.
Yep.
Maybe you want more than 99 days, and so you can just turn the whole controller off. So just like our dial controllers, you just shut the thing off.
But
without pull.
Does that turn back on after 99 days, or is that's just off?
No, that's your indefinite off. If you want to suspend it, you have to go down in the settings to programmable or suspend or program. I think it's called programmable days off.
Oh well, yeah, yep. How long does that go out to? 99.
Up to 99 days, yeah.
And if you do that, turn the controller off from the app, will people still be able to come out and manually water, or that's off?
Yeah. Your manual always works.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's also got select. So you can actually do calendar selection of actual days as well that are no water
days.
It's
better that way. So if you got an event, you'll know that, hey, it's not 7 days from now, it's 6 days from now.
Yeah.
That's the day. Yeah.
Like I was trying to schedule
count 0, 1, or the 1, 2. Yeah.
I was trying to schedule a Zoom call. When it's actually Wednesday. Wednesday where we are and Tuesday where you are.
That's true. Yeah.
That's really cool. It's you think about, like, I guess for I don't know, maybe a church who has a Sunday service and they have kids playing on a lawned area on a Sunday, they can just go through and preset. I mean, they wouldn't program their Sunday, or if they had a Friday that was out of the ordinary, they just turn that Friday off a couple of weeks in advance, and they know that it's off and there's no watering going to pop up.
Yeah, which is functionality that you could do on a central control.
Yeah, but to have that in a node.
Yeah, as I'm saying, a battery timer.
You don't have the event day off. You'll have to go to the schedule to take off that Friday.
Yeah.
We can't go advanced, and it has to be from now past that
to
Friday.
That day. Okay. So you just do it the day.
Yeah.
So if it's a Sunday and the greenskeeper only works on Friday, they could turn it off on the Friday and start again Monday, and then it's misses 2 days.
That makes more. Yeah, that's
exactly. Or just go to your watering schedule and take off Friday.
Yeah.
When it'll never water on Fridays. Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously it's got a battery change reminder.
Yeah, so that was also another good contractor feature. So, hey, it gives you like your oil change in your car or something like that. Remind me in, 3, 6, 9, or 12 months to replace that battery. And that shows up on the bell that you saw, the alert bell on the Connect screen.
So is that just a push notification from the app? You have to make sure you keep the app on your phone. It doesn't email you or...
You got to make sure you have the app and it's inside the app. We're working on a way to alert you.
Oh, okay. So you have to open the app. Yeah.
You got to open the app, yeah.
And that could just remind you, say you had 10 or 20 controllers in your app, it would just remind you of which ones need to be done and when.
by name. So it's cool. It's better if you rename it.
Yep.
Yep.
And so you'll know which location it's on.
Yeah, that would be good if it pushed it to you. Obviously, that's an App Store / Google Play.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a huge thing to do for that small feature. But we got a whole thing, a list of stuff we're working on.
I think you
we'll
guys.
get
I mean,
there.
the Hunter node, the standard node, it was and is the market leading battery operated valve, head and shoulders above any other valve that we sell. And obviously, you've seen competitors come into the space and try and attack it. By making a similar product and being cheaper or whatever, it makes sense to me for you to spend as much money as you need to just have every little feature to try and keep fighting off that attack. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, and it's kind of we didn't talk about price, but if you look at the node to the node BT, especially for where you're at too, and internationally, there's not that much difference. It's a step up. It's I think it's almost $10.
Yeah.
$10-15 list.
Yep.
And so whatever programs you got going on, it's not that much
No.
to add that Bluetooth control. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm conscious of time. We've probably only got another 10 minutes before I need to go to my next meeting. Obviously, you guys can sit here and talk about crocodiles, alligators, and flies or something. Well, obviously, we haven't gone into the programming of this. I think that's something that we could probably do separately. I didn't want to not waste your time, but I thought that there was probably a better use of your time.
High level stuff. Yeah.
So is there anything else that's glaringly...
I think we can talk about the soil moisture sensor.
Yeah, so is that something that we have?
PC probe, is that right?
Yeah, SC probe. Yeah,
SC
yeah.
probe,
You
yeah.
just you can buy that. It's basically the replacement part when your probe goes bad. But for this, you just need the probe.
Yep.
The intelligence is all in the node BT, and we reverse the way the count is. Most people count 0 centibars as very wet. We're counting them, and we just flip the scale as dry. Just for some testing, and for this is being used by homeowners, things like that. If they see 0, then it looks like it's dry to them instead of wet.
Yep.
Versus when you go up to 100, we make it wet instead of dry. So we flipped it on the soil click. We get the probe from aerometer. They go up to over 200 centibars. We're going up to 100. It's just a relative scale, and you have to test that on your site. But simply, you can just hook up that probe to the controller, make sure it says on. You can see the actual moisture sensor. It actually calculates right before it's scheduled to run, and you can always pull for immediate readings when you're on that screen.
Cool.
So it'll tell you how wet it is.
How that you put that in the ground and it gives you say 40 as a rating, and you can get an idea of if that's a number you're comfortable with, and then you preset that as.
Yeah, you're shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go over 45 or something. Don't
Yep.
go over 40. Yeah, and it'll obey that. And you can also use that in combination with the sensor. Maybe the ground's wet, or maybe the sensor's dry, but the ground's still wet. You can have the rain click there as well.
Because I've always.
And that's only for sites that it's not going to be a tripping hazard. Maybe you don't want a rain sensor in the valve box coming out, on a fence. But
Or even,
that's why you
I
have
guess,
to-
vandalism as well. It hides it from everyone. We've always been very skeptical of moisture sensors in the soil because it's only really taking a snapshot of one space.
Exactly.
With a Hunter node, it's probably less concerning because the node's only watering a snapshot of one space as well.
Well, one station
One
can
station,
be
no.
representative of
Yeah.
that area. So.
Yeah, whereas if you had a 12-station controller and you've got a moisture sensor in the lawn and the garden's doing different things, I guess it gets you closer to better water management, but I don't think it's the silver bullet. But maybe without putting a moisture sensor everywhere, there is no silver bullet or ET.
Exactly. That's why you need it. That's more of a commercial control environment, or
Yep.
even with the HydroEyes, Pro HC has zone based, so you can put more than one soil sensor. I know we have 2 sensors on that, but if you're able to put multiple, you can do it that way.
Here's a really random question. Can you have different... Did you say cinebars?
Sensor bars, yeah.
Center bars attached to different programs or different valves. So could we have 4 valves operating off one sensor and turning off at different numbers?
Different set points.
Yeah.
No, that's that's really advanced. That's almost that's like conditional response for the ACC too.
It's not something that and these questions I ask
Yeah.
are out of purely so that they've been asked
Yeah.
and then there's an answer. I don't see it being necessary. I'd just like to know.
Well, we had a question, and I think you just touched on it. I know this isn't Node BT, but how many soil moisture sensors can I put on a Pro HC or into a Hydrawise system?
So really, I mean, if you have another manufacturer out there that makes, they have a system where you can put multiple probes that can take 2 wires and hook up to our sensor, we can do as many as they allow. For Hunter products, you have the ability to have 2 soil clicks, which means you'll have 2 probes out in the field, and you can assign it to as many zones as you want.
Yeah.
And so our limit is 2. You'd have to have actually a module, a brain for every probe out there, and our inputs are only 2 on the Pro HC, HCC as well.
Yep.
But if there's somebody else out there, there are plenty of soil moisture sensor companies out there. They got an interface. We can hook it up to our system.
Okay.
And this is probably maybe a question you don't want to answer, but can you use other soil moisture sensors with your Node BT, or is it really it's Hunter only?
No, you probably could. We'd have to see. We'll have to learn the specs though for it.
And obviously, if their center bar works differently, it's going to.
Yeah. The firmware is going to be different.
Yep.
I think the soil clip probe that comes with these are the ceramic based.
Yeah.
Little ones that used to be like it was called like the watermark or weathermark ones.
Yeah, the green.
Yeah,
the
green
green
packet
it
ones.
is-
It's the
it's
same
exactly
thing.
what it is,
And
yeah.
Hunter's competitive in that.
Well, they
market
used to
as
be
well.
stupid. It was like $380 for.
They were really dear. Now they're
Yeah.
they're very competitive now.
Yeah.
So
They came down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So are
I
they
think
still a
other
case that
than
you've
that-
got to wet them prior and get them? Because I remember you used to have
Yeah,
to like wet
yeah.
them out and what have you to soak
Yeah,
them in.
you can soak them. Don't soak the top where the wires come out, and then you have to mix a slurry in the dirt,
Yeah.
and then you can use a PVC pipe. Get that you place it near the root level, root depth,
Yeah.
and then you pack it in, compact it in, and you need to test it for a couple days.
Yeah.
See how it's operating.
So that slurry, so that you've basically got pure soil rather than having rocks and roots
Yep.
and.
Yep, right into the sensor.
Yeah.
You get those electro nodes there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that is it on the Node BT. I mean, it's great product. Fits a need.
Consumer
And,
warranty. How many
Yeah,
years?
warranty still the same. 2 years.
2 years. Yep. Cool.
2 years. And
I guess just quickly on the valve itself. Obviously, we can put your Accu-sync underneath this as well. There's no issues with that from a pressure
yeah,
regulation.
you can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, you can still do that with any of the 100 valves.
Yep, and then we've obviously got a flow control ability here, and then that's a manual bleed for them to be able to obviously turn that.
Yeah.
Now,
I can't see. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the manual bleed,
Yeah.
obviously here, over manually turning it on via the coil, if someone was to do such a thing. Are you able to touch on just quickly the difference between turning the valve on from the coil versus turning it on from the manual bleed?
I think over time, I think just where it can happen.
Yeah.
But the bleed allows you to kind of regulate the flow out of that valve.
Right.
But that's just they can just turn it on from the control if they haven't hooked up. Is that you're just talking without the controller?
Yeah, just
If
in
it's
its
like-
valve, I guess more based
Or
on
if
the
they had
valve
no
itself.
batteries and they wanted to do a test.
If no bad,
Yeah.
yeah. And they want to test if it's actually working. Yeah, you can do it that way.
Because there's going to be contractors that I guess may not have experienced this or don't actually know how to turn that on, and they've walked out there just to flip a
Yeah.
valve, and they see on and off on top of the coil. They're going to turn that on to
Yeah.
just see what valve that turns. Like I guess what pops up.
Yeah,
So,
you could do it both ways.
yeah.
But I always say, you're going to get a splash of water if right in your face if you let that solenoid come off.
That's
Well, it's
right.
going to fill up your valve box over a long period of time as well because obviously
Correct.
water's squirting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes cross-threading could happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shouldn't happen on. Sometimes that can happen with brass on plastic.
Yeah.
But plastic on plastic should be fine.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's it for another
Yeah.
hour with Darik.
Yeah.
We'll have to come up with a segment name. So,
Yeah, I know. I gotta go get my assistants. I gotta get some coffee, and I need one of those 10-year. Yeah, last thing. So, Node BT, is the successor to Node, and just building on the the years of that, and so 10 years for you of quality, 10 years for quality on the Node BT. So
perfect.
that's like the point.
So let's do this again in another week or two, whatever works for you. Would maybe touch on another product in your stable.
Are you in charge of the Bluetooth tap timer?
Yeah, we can do tap timer.
Yeah.
We can do the 2-zone tap timer. That's the newest one.
Yeah, and that's selling quite well for us too. So yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
You guys have that?
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Okay, awesome.
I'm keen to get one of the soil moisture sensors and do a whole thing on how that works. But is that your product, or is that should we be talking to someone else?
That's fine. If you want to do the ST Probe and the Node BT, that's fine. Or we can do Soil Click and Pro HD.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is good. If we schedule enough videos, you'll have like guaranteed employment for the whole year.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because they'll be like, no, we can't get rid of him. He's famous now.
We'll make sure you've got videos booked in after your performance review.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I'm just going to say I work at Waterpro.
Yeah. Waterpro US.
All right, I'll let you get to your meeting. All right.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Darik.
We'll see you again soon.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.